Welcome, my friends, to the first episode of the Wyld Wellness Podcast, where we dive deep into the realms of women's health, fitness, mindset. I'm your host, Hailee, and I'm thrilled to have you here today. So, today is going to be a pretty chill get to know me chat to kick things off for my very first episode. I'm going to get a little bit deeper into where I started regarding fitness, the challenges that I faced, including some disordered eating habits, my missing period, and where my love for fitness kind of turned a little bit dark. So, if you are on a fitness journey right now and you're feeling a little bit lost, you are in the right place. So, hit that subscribe button because there's going to be a lot of valuable freaking content coming your way shortly. So, without further ado, let's dive headfirst into my very first episode. Sit back, relax, grab a high protein snack, and let's get started. Hey, hi, how are ya? My name is Hailee, your host and online personal trainer and nutrition coach, here to give you some relatable anti-almond mom fitness advice. So if you're tired of all of the perfect people on social media, you are in the right place. So let's get into my story, shall we? That's why we're all here. I have always been an active kid. I played a lot of sports growing up, and I was never overweight until I hit puberty at age 11. Side note about puberty, if you are a mother and have a teenage daughter going through puberty, it is very normal to gain some weight. Fun fact, we actually become a little bit more insulin resistant during puberty, so we do gain some healthy weight in order to become reproductive women. End quote. Anyways, this weight gain was starting to get noticed. And I remember so vividly sitting in my kitchen with my parents doing some homework or something. They had commented on me needing to lose some weight because I was starting to look, quote unquote, chunky. They mean well, they really do. And I don't think we understand that until we do have kids. Your parents do the best they can with what they have and what they know at that present time. And my parents were really just trying to help, and I genuinely know that. However, that was the catalyst for my 5-year struggle with many different variations of my eating disorder, from anorexia to bulimia, binge eating. The whole squad was there. All because I was a little perfectionist and people pleaser who heard "you're fat, do better," and proceeded to take things to extremes. I first started with my fitness pal, eating about 1,200 calories a day because that's what you do. And that's what it recommended to me. And I had lost a lot of weight. I also, during this period, lost my period, which I'll get into a little bit later. And with that weight, I also gained some disordered eating habits and a very strong obsession with exercise. I would lie about eating. I'm always choosing the lowest calorie option. I would look up menus all the time, obsess over what I eat in a day or calorie challenges on YouTube. That 10,000 calorie challenge, I don't know how many of those videos I have watched, but it's an absurd amount. I would bake for others, but not myself, and a host of other habits that were alarming to me, but felt normal at the time. It wasn't until I went to the doctor for my missing period that I started to see that my habits were disordered. And I had kept convincing myself that I didn't have an eating disorder when I did. And if you've been to the doctor for a missing period, you know that some of them really push the pill. And that's something that I strongly disagree with because it's just a band-aid for the underlying problem. In my case, it was my eating disorder that was not allowing me to be a healthy human. But I did have a good doctor, and he told me all of the right things to recover my period rather than just push the pill down my throat like I know a lot of doctors do. He told me to eat more, exercise less, and reduce stress, which is everything that you should do when trying to get your cycle back. But I was in no mindset to receive that information at the time. So I didn't do it. And the Miss Know-It-all that I thought I was wanted to cheat recovery. Any kind of supplement or voodoo ritual I could find on the internet to bring my cycle back without gaining any kind of weight is what I tried and what I did. Nothing worked, obviously. I wanted a healthy body without a healthy mind, and the two just don't exist together. You're only as healthy as your mind allows you to be, so always remember that. And there did come a point where I did hit my version of rock bottom. I'm going to tell you about that. This rock bottom I like to call my finding Jesus moment. I had been struggling with binge eating and I had binged. I felt really, really guilty after that one. The copious amounts of food, I felt sick, and eventually I was sick, but I'll spare you the gory details. And after that, after being sick, my heart had been palpitating all night and I was genuinely scared something was going to happen. And what I was really doing to my body was a very scary place to be. And I just realized, something needs to change. I literally hurt enough to change. And in that moment, I was like, fuck you, Hailee. This is not worth it. What are you even trying to do? Like, be the smallest version of yourself when no one else gives a flying fuck. So why do you give a flying fuck? Is pretty much the thought process that went through my mind. And that realization changed the game for me. Why was I trying to be something that I thought that the world wanted from me rather than trying to make myself happy? Ask yourself that right now. Why do you do this? Is it for yourself or the external validation that you think you're going to get? And at that point, I just surrendered to some help. I got a coach who helped me stop binge eating. I got my cycle back and regular within 3 months. I gained weight, which was much needed. It was a very hard thing for me to come to terms with at first, because if you have been at your lowest weight or a very lean physique, it feels like you're kind of giving that up and you're giving up your hard work when you're not, because the goal is health. It's not to be the smallest person possible, right? But with some mindset shifts, it became a lot easier over time. And I came to learn that my mindset was so toxic. And that was the thing keeping me stuck where I was. My poor mindset led to poor behaviors, which led to poor health. Poor. Everything is so intertwined. And I used to think that you could just do the workout, eat the right foods, and you'll reach your goals. But this journey is so much more than that. Oh my God. It's behavior changes. It's learning to love yourself truly. It's maturing. It's being patient. It's being compassionate with yourself. It's continuously growing and learning. The complexity and misinformation out in the world are reasons that I became a coach for women on how to heal metabolism, get their period back, and make peace with food. Because this is a whole body transformation from inside out. That's what they mean by make it a lifestyle, which is also a little bit confusing. But that's another rant for another day. So this whole thing took me about 5 years to get over getting my period back. I still have moments. I still have my moments where I choose violence and I overeat. However, I have a lot more tools to use to fight the urges, to find different ways to cope with my emotions rather than just turn to food. And it's been a very long journey. And my goal for this channel, my Instagram, my TikTok, everything that I do is to help women realize that it is possible to get out the other side without having any kind of repercussions. And yeah, I started my channel. Well, this is new, but I started my Instagram about 2 years ago. I started my blog about 2 years ago when I went through a bit of a messy, bad breakup with a very toxic person. And they had made fun of the things that I went through in terms of my eating disorder and everything like that and threw it in my face. So I decided to turn into something that I was proud of, because at that point I had kind of gotten over everything that I've been through, and I was ready to share it with people because I knew I was truly healed from it, and I was just ready to help people through the process. I feel like when you are still processing it yourself, you don't feel like you're worthy, and you can kind of have this, self-sabotaging moments where you don't think that you deserve to share your story when you always do, because you always have something to offer. And even though you don't have it figured out right now, it's okay. You just have to be a chapter or two ahead of someone else to help someone. So I started my blog. I started blogging more religiously, is what I should say. I started my Instagram mostly to channel my energy, because after that breakup, there was a lot of anger and kind of sadness, and I didn't know what to do with myself, and I didn't want to, I was kind of depressed, if I'm going to be honest with you. Not because the relationship was over, but because of how it ended. And so I had to channel it, and I decided to channel it into my empire, I would call it now. And literally, it's the best fucking thing I have done ever. Ever in my life is to start this channel and start my Instagram and start being vulnerable with you guys helping women is the best job I could have ever imagined. Seeing people thrive makes me so, so happy. So happy. It's just unreal. So that's kind of where my love for sharing my journey kind of started, and it's still in its very early stages, and I appreciate every single one of you. I'm sure right now it's only my Instagram followers, and guys, I see you. I see you loud and clear, and please know that you are my favorite people in the whole world, and I freaking love you. Genuinely, I love you, and I respect you, and I appreciate you. You deserve the fucking world, and yeah. So that's going to wrap up my story, and it's also going to wrap up the first episode of the Young um and it's also going of the Wyld Wellness podcast. So if you enjoyed this little get to know me chat and relate to some of the things that I've said, please subscribe for more health classes with Hailee coming soon. And one last fun fact about me is I love including you guys in my content process. So I love including you as much as humanly possible. So DM me on Instagram at Hailee_fitblog. It'll be linked in the show notes. And let me know what you want to see from me next. Your opinions matter to me so much, more than you know. And until next time, my friends, be well. You are so loved. You are so appreciated.